Welcome to the deep dive. So here we are. If you're listening along with us, it's day 285 of the year.
Yeah, that's October 12th, which means we've got just 80 days left. 80 days.
It really puts you on this, well, this peculiar threshold, doesn't it?
It really does. We're in that final stretch. We've all been there. You can see the finish line maybe, but that initial burst of energy, that's long gone.
And every step now just feels heavier, significantly heavier.
Right. It's like psychological gravity increases.
And our sources for today's deep dive, they actually label this exact moment. It's when resistance hits hardest.
Ah, resistance. That invisible wall you hit right before you finish something important.
Exactly. It's that friction trying to stop you, whether it's, a huge project or,
Yeah.
well, even just finishing cleaning your house. That last little bit is always the worst.
Mm-hmm. And that really sets up our mission today, doesn't it?
It does. We want to explore the architecture needed to finish these last 80 days strong, successfully finish what you started.
We're looking for the blueprint, basically. How do you handle that resistance? What's the foundation you need underneath? Where does courage fit in? And what about sheer willpower, that resolution?
Okay, let's dig into that. Starting with fighting back against resistance. It feels like such a paradox, you know? The closer you get, the louder that voice gets telling you to stop.
Totally. And there's a great story about this involving Michael Crichton.
Oh, the Jurassic Park guy.
The very same. You'd think someone like him, super successful, could just sort of cruise through the end of a book project.
Right, talent takes over.
But no. He apparently knew that the real enemy wasn't writer's block. Not really. It was the psychological battle of actually completing something big.
So what did he do? Just push through?
He did more than push. He escalated, systematically. When he was getting close to the end of the novel, he'd start waking up earlier.
How early are we talking?
Well, first it was 6 a.m., then, as the deadline got closer, 4 a.m.,
4 in the morning. Okay.
and then, for the final push, 2 a.m., he'd get up at 2 in the morning to write.
Wow. That's intense. His wife must have thought he was nuts.
Probably. But it was strategic. He knew resistance would ramp up the closer he got to the end. That voice saying, "You're tired, take a break, it's not good enough anyway."
So he decided to strike first, get the work done before that internal resistance could even fully wake up and start his campaign.
Exactly. He even sequestered himself sometimes, like in a hotel, just to remove distractions and force the output. He didn't wait for the attack. He launched his own offensive.
But wait, isn't getting up at 2 a.m. just, I don't know, burning yourself out? Is that sustainable?
Ah, good point. I think the key is it wasn't his permanent schedule. It was a tactical surge.
Like a specific military operation for a specific phase of the battle?
Precisely. It was about overcoming that specific psychological hurdle of completion. You know, sometimes our identity gets tangled up in the struggle itself. Finishing feels weirdly threatening.
So the extreme discipline was like hitting the override button on that feeling.
Yes. And that's so relevant for you, the listener, right now. That project you're almost done with. That course you're 90% through.
When you feel that sudden, overwhelming urge to just drop it.
That's your cue. That's the signal to actually increase your focus, your discipline, not back off. Escalate tactically.
Okay. But that 2 a.m. tactic, it only works if you've already got the basics down right. Crichton couldn't just magically summon that willpower if he wasn't already a disciplined writer day to day.
Excellent point. Which brings us right back to architecture. You need a solid foundation first.
Yeah, let's talk about that groundwork. There's a quote from Gordon B. Hinckley that nails it.
Yeah.
You can't build a great building on a weak foundation.
Simple, but profound. If the base isn't solid, whatever you build on top of this success, the finished product, it's eventually going to crumble. Especially under pressure, like these final 80 days.
And the crucial thing here is that the real foundation isn't always the stuff people see. It's not just the hours logged.
No, it's the invisible stuff. It's your character, your habits, your values, the things you practice when absolutely no one is watching.
The small daily disciplines. Showing up consistently. Acting with integrity even when it's inconvenient. That's the bedrock.
Mm-hmm. If you've spent the first 285 days laying that kind of foundation, then these last 80, while still hard, won't feel like building on sand.
That leads perfectly into this warning from Bob Pettit, the basketball player.
Right. He had this interesting take on talent. He basically said, if things come too easily to you, if you're naturally gifted.
That sounds like a good problem to have.
You'd think. But Pettit warned it can be a trap. Because if it's easy, you might skip the hard, deliberate practice needed for true mastery.
You mistake ease for arrival. You think, I'm good at this. I don't need the grunt work.
Exactly, you get complacent. And that neglect of the foundational work, the deliberate practice, that's what stops talent from becoming real deep expertise. You plateau below your potential.
Why do we do that, though? Confuse ease with arrival. Is it
Mm.
just laziness?
Maybe partly, but I think it's also psychological. Discipline takes effort, right?
No.
If you can get, say, 80% of the result with only 20% of the hard work, your brain says, hey, good enough.
Yeah, and you skip the extra steps that turn good enough into great. You don't build the deep foundation.
And that idea of intentional foundation building, doing the invisible work, it reminds me of that old proverb about training, the one about train up a child in the way they should go. But there's a crucial addition often missed.
Okay.
The best way to train them isn't just telling them, it's by traveling that way yourself.
Leading by example. People learn more from what they see you do consistently.
Exactly. If you want your efforts, your projects, your life to stand strong in these final days, you need to have been walking that disciplined path yourself. That's how the foundation gets built. You live it.
Okay, so we've got resistance. We know we need to strike first. We've got the foundation built on consistent, often unseen discipline.
Right. But standing firm on that foundation, especially when the world wants you to, cut corners or just go with the flow, that takes something else.
Courage.
Courage. That brings us to segment 3, the courage to stand apart.
Building a life, or even just finishing a project based on solid principles, often means you have to depart from accepted customs when conscience requires it. That's a direct quote.
And Leo Tolstoy pointed out that doing that, it requires a large and serious effort. It's not easy.
Why is it so hard?
Because society, the crowd, culture, it exerts this constant subtle pressure. It whispers, think like us, believe what we believe, stay with the herd. It's safer here.
It's the pull of conformity, comfort, and sameness.
Absolutely. We're wired for belonging. But then you have thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson telling us, essentially, behave as you think is good, not just following the crowd's advice.
Listen to that inner voice, your conscience, your principles, even if it makes waves or irritates people.
Even if it makes you feel a bit lonely sometimes. And Tolstoy, he took it even further. He said it's actually even worse to deny the requirements of your conscience and intellect by following the customs of the crowd than it is to just annoy a few people by doing your own thing.
Wow. So the real sin isn't rocking the boat, it's betraying yourself internally to keep the peace.
That's how he saw it. Denying your own intellect and conscience, that's the deeper failure.
Okay, so when you find that courage, that commitment to conscience over conformity,
Yeah.
what happens?
You unlock this incredible inner strength, a kind of creative power, actually. Think about Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
He described nonviolence not as weakness, but as a sword that heals. It cuts through injustice and lies, but it also ennobles the person using it. It's strength, but a different kind.
A constructive strength, not destructive.
Precisely. And Pharrell Williams had a great metaphor for this kind of creative refusal to accept limitations. He said, there's a key for every door, and if you can't find it, you can make one.
I like that. So the courage to stand apart isn't just about morality, it's about ingenuity too. If the crowd's way doesn't work for you, or isn't right for you, you find the resolve to forge your own path.
You make your own key. That's real agency.
Okay, this is powerful stuff. Let's zoom out a bit now. We're talking about the effort in these last 80 days, the foundation, the courage. But what's the ultimate measure of success here? How should we be thinking about the big picture?
Yeah, that's a great question. We need to maybe reframe what winning looks like, and Kevin Kelly offers a really useful distinction.
Go on.
He contrasts being rich with being wealthy. He says, the rich have control of a lot of money. The wealthy have control over a lot of their time.
Money versus time. Interesting.
And then he adds, it's a lot easier to be wealthy than it is to be rich.
Okay, unpack that.
Yeah.
Wealth as control over time. How does that connect to finishing these last 80 days?
Well, if wealth is having command over your time, your focus shouldn't just be maximizing income. It should be maximizing control over how you spend your hours and energy.
So you can choose what you work on. You can choose to get up at 2 a.m. like Crichton, if needed. Or maybe more importantly, choose not to do things.
Exactly. Being wealthy in time means you can ruthlessly prune commitments that aren't essential. You can focus your energy where it truly matters, on building that foundation and finishing strong.
So practically, for the final stretch, it means Identifying and cutting out the fluff.
Pretty much. Saying no more often. Killing meetings that just spin wheels. Protecting your focus for the things that actually move the needle towards completion. That's exercising your time well.
And if we connect that idea, commanding our time for what matters, what about the long game? What's the legacy?
Well, one of our sources puts it quite beautifully, I think. In order to be remembered, leave nothing behind but love.
Wow. Okay, that cuts through a lot of the noise about achievement, doesn't it?
It really does. Love is presented as the only thing that truly endures and transforms. It multiplies when you give it away. Our accomplishments, our status, they fade. But the love we share, the impact we have on people, that lasts.
That's a serious perspective check for these final, potentially stressful 80 days. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Right. And speaking of perspective, let's talk about gratitude.
Okay, how does that fit in?
The source states, gratitude is not about what is received, it's about how you receive what's there.
So it's not just being thankful when good things happen.
No, it's deeper. It's not transactional. It's an internal posture, a way of meeting reality, whatever reality brings. It frees you from the tyranny of circumstances.
Because you can't always control what happens, but you can control your response, how you frame it, how you receive it.
Precisely. Even challenges, difficulties, through the lens of gratitude, they can become lessons, opportunities for growth, maybe even gifts in disguise.
And internal control, that perspective, seems essential for navigating the final push without getting derailed.
It is, and to maintain that clarity and control, especially when things get hectic, we need some sharp filters. 2 simple questions.
Okay, what are they?
First, does this actually matter? Second, is this essential?
Does this matter? Is this essential? Simple, but powerful.
You apply those relentlessly to your tasks, your meetings, your worries, especially in these final 80 days. They help you distinguish real progress from just motion, busy work.
Right. They clear the clutter so you can focus your energy on what will actually get you across the finish line. Which brings us to the final ingredient.
Yes. Resolution.
That sheer internal commitment. Abraham Lincoln, who definitely knew a thing or two about resistance and incredibly high stakes,
You could say that.
he insisted that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other factor.
Think about that. More important than talent, money, connections, luck. Your own determination. Your refusal to quit.
If you have that resolution, that internal fire, you control the most critical variable for these next 80 days.
Absolutely. And that resolution, it ties right back into the preparation we talked about, the foundation.
How so?
Remember Elmer Letterman's definition of luck?
Remind me.
Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Ah, right. So we can't always control when opportunity knocks.
But we absolutely control the preparation. We control building the foundation. We control nurturing that resolution. So when the opportunity does arrive, maybe it's a breakthrough insight, maybe it's a final burst of energy, our preparation allows us to actually seize it.
We're ready for the luck when it shows up.
Exactly. And part of that preparation, part of being smart about it, is not trying to figure everything out from scratch.
You mean learning from others?
Yes. As the saying goes, learn from the mistakes of others. We can't live long enough to make them all ourselves.
Huh, true. Why waste precious time and energy repeating errors that others have already documented for us? Leverage their experience.
It's just efficient wisdom, isn't it? And that brings us to one last powerful idea about our potential from Kurt Hahn.
What did he say?
He said, there is more in us than we know. If we can be made to see it, perhaps for the rest of our lives, we will be unwilling to settle for less.
Wow. So maybe this final push, this day 285 vantage point, it's a chance to glimpse that more that's in us.
Exactly. It's a chance to see the version of yourself capable of finishing strong, of not settling for good enough, or giving in to resistance.
And once you see that potential, you can't unsee it. You're unwilling to settle.
That's the hope. That's the possibility.
Okay, let's bring it home then. We're here, day 285. 80 days to go. This is the moment for maybe a quick personal inventory.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what foundations have I actually laid this year? Are they solid? Where maybe has resistance been winning some quiet battles lately? How have I been using my time well?
And looking forward for these final 80 days, let's recap those key strategies.
Okay. First, strike first against resistance. Remember, Crichton, tactical escalation when needed.
Second, commit to that internal resolution. Lincoln said it's the most important thing. Own it.
And third, maintain the courage of your conscience. Don't betray your own intellect just to fit in or avoid friction, like Tolstoy and Emerson warned. Stand on your principles.
Because that finish line,
Yep.
it's going to be guarded by more intense resistance. It'll tell you you're tired, you've done enough, just coast.
That's when you pull out those filters. Is this essential? Push through the friction. Remember why you started.
All right, and here's the final thought we want to leave you with today. It circles right back to that idea of resistance and the difficulty of the final push.
Okay.
One of our sources states, "The fear of suffering cripples us. When we are free from this fear, we are blissful. Only in blissful states are we able to take leaps forward."
That's interesting. Freedom from the fear of suffering, not necessarily freedom from suffering itself.
Exactly. It suggests that growth, finishing something meaningful, often involves discomfort, effort, maybe even pain. It hurts sometimes.
But if we accept that, if we stop being afraid of the difficulty, does that free us up?
That's the provocative question, isn't it? What leaps forward become possible for you in these last 80 days if you accept that the intensifying friction is actually a sign you're close to something worthwhile?
If you stop letting the fear of the final effort cripple you, and instead embrace the resolution to finish.
You've got the foundation, hopefully, you have the map from today's discussion. Now, it just comes down to activating that resolution. Go make it happen.